All right. Welcome everybody back to the Rams of Roundtable number 59. And I'm Ian. That's Mark. That's Paul under there. Gentlemen, how you doing? Are you feeling a little bit better?
Not really.
Yeah, me either. It's
Yeah.
that was a pain. That was a crappy loss in front of the whole nation. And that stadium was not in a good mood when I was there at SoFi. I agree. But hope you're doing a little bit better, Rams Nation, than we are right now. I know it was a crappy loss, but let's talk about it and then we got to move on. So, final thoughts on this Dolphins loss, gentlemen. I mean, we all looked at the film, we all talked about it, what we saw, good, bad, ugly, great, if there was any. And Mark, what are your final thoughts on this primetime loss to the Miami Dolphins?
Well, it's just frustrating because I feel like we have two games now. I compared this to the Bears game where we really should have won. We were the better team. Just too many things went against us. I think that we didn't have a good game plan. We abandoned the run game, as you guys are going to talk about, I'm sure. And it's just one that slipped away. Really frustrating. And Ian and I talked about it on the post game reaction. Just had a crappy feeling the entire game. What from the get go, there was something wasn't quite right with this team, and I think it was probably a lot of things weren't quite right. And it's kind of disappointing to see that a team of this potential caliber just kind of comes out and throws a dud. Frustrating.
Yeah, it was crappy. I mean, Paul, we've talked off air and off camera, obviously, and so and all of us together. But Rams Nation's got to hear your thoughts, your final thoughts on this loss, man.
I mean, it was a loss that I think was embarrassing. To tell you honestly, I think Troy Aikman said it best. He described it as a demoralizing loss. I mean, the Rams were definitely on an upswing. I mean, the rosters. There's so many positives on this roster, but for that team to come out and just look as unprepared as they were, just sort of lifeless as they were, just the football IQ just wasn't there for a team that has so many veterans, especially on offense. I just thought it was I agree with you. I thought it was a very peculiar game. And I have my own hypotheses on it. I think a lot of players, I mean, I don't think they were, I don't think the word was upset. I think they took it as a real negative that I think certain players were yanked out of the lineup so unceremoniously for certain other players after saying in the preseason, you have to earn this, you have to earn it every week, and then you have a player like Bo Limmer who has been earning it every week, and also just starting three new players at three O line positions for a game that you had to win. To me, just didn't make any sense. I think you could see for a lot of the players on the field didn't make a lot of sense. There was just way too many moving parts for that offense to get into sync, and it really showed. And it was a game they gave away, really did. And I put it squarely on the coaching staff. I really don't have an answer in terms of what their mindset was, or even what the game plan was.
Yeah, yeah. I was there at the game, like we talked about in the post game, and gosh, the crowd was ready to rock and see some good high flying
Yeah.
offense. And luckily, the defense put a lot out there to cheer about and feel good about. I mean, that shout out to the defense after watching film, after going play by play. I mean, they played a much better game than I think people even realize. Containing Tyreek Hill, you know, getting Okello Witherspoon to like, hey, dude, you're gonna have to hold on the best you can, and we're gonna have Darius Williams shadow Jalen Waddle a bunch. And it worked out for the most part. Yes, did the Dolphins not connect on a couple passes that Jalen Waddle dropped or things didn't execute or Tua didn't see it? Of course, there's always stuff like that going on. But credit to this defense for leading the team yet again and saving the season. I mean, there's been a lot of talk in Rams Nation, whether it be Twitter X, Facebook, Instagram, or Reddit. I'm sure it has been on fire when I've tuned in and seen stuff there. That we got to be honest, and I know there's gonna be a lot of people in the media, our Rams media friends, who disagree with this, but McVay's offense for the last 5 years has just been straight, just crap. I'm sorry. Now, the 2022 campaign, there was injuries, but before it snowballed into a gazillion starters being gone, when there was a majority of starters still there, it was not good. Last year, there was tons of games where everyone was healthy and they just were not good. This season, yes, there was a lot of injuries that were not good, but guys, I mean, last week's Seattle game, if defense doesn't save us, that's a crappy overall offensive performance. This game, majority of people are healthy, crappy offensive performance. So even 2020, when the team was fully healthy, that was a defensive-led team that couldn't even win a playoff game because the offense was so sorry that season too. So I think, there's got to be some serious questions about McVay's genius tag. He ain't no genius as of right now. Is he a good coach? Yes. Am I happy that he's our coach? Yes. But we got to stop acting like he's some genius cooking up schemes when he only runs 5 variations of a run play. It's either inside zone, it's outside zone, duo, and that you can block the duo in different ways, but duo. You'll see maybe a jet sweep every blue moon now, it feels like. You see a couple power tosses and outside zone. So, and a wham. I know I said zones already. So you got 6, 7 different runs. That's it. When other teams deploy 10, 11, 12 different style of runs, we don't run any of that. And it's just really insane. Everything's long developing, no screens, no tight end screens. It's always outside receiver stuff. I mean, I love McVay again, but my final thoughts after watching this game and just kind of compiling years of just crappy game plans and play calling, in my opinion, man, oh man, he's really got to reflect and be like, how can I just diversify my playbook to set my team up for success other than we got to throw it with Matthew Stafford and play hero ball? And if he doesn't do it, then we're screwed. And then, Kyron fumbles. Okay, we can't run the ball very much anymore. I don't believe in him or the run game all of a sudden. I mean, we have years and years of data and games we've all watched, Rams Nation, where this exact scenario we saw today has happened way too many times throughout his coaching history, and especially the last 4 or 5 seasons. So that's all my negative, I guess. My final thoughts on that. But shout out to the defense yet again, having to save the day for this team. But it seems like 4 out of 5 seasons when they weren't supposed to be the group doing it, but here they are. And a terrible loss. Terrible loss. I mean, there's just no way around it. But we'll keep it positive, though, right, gentlemen? We'll try to, after all the negative and maybe a little positive, like we all kind of spewed, I think we still have to highlight some players that showed up ready to go, right? And no matter win or loss, we'll always highlight those guys just like we'll do right now. So, Mark, who is your positive player of the game? Who's somebody you saw and said, you know what? They showed up, they were ready to go, and they made an impact trying to help this team pull off a victory. Who was that for you?
Well, I'm going to go back to the beginning of this season and early on in the preseason. I'm sure I said several times, maybe just on the podcast, maybe not on the YouTube channel, that the position I was most worried about was interior defensive line. How shallow, how thin we were at that position, and we were going to be relying on Bobby Brown to really step up. He's going to have to step up, and early in the season, really the first 5 or 6 games, we weren't seeing it, right? We were really worried about him, kind of disappointing. And then last week, and then again this week, I wouldn't say he's necessarily playing at an all-pro level or anything, but he's finally showing up and making plays. He made that big play. He was key to that 4th down stop against the Seahawks, and he had a couple of big plays in this one, and we saw him in the backfield a couple of times on run plays nonetheless, but still. So I was really happy with how much he's developed just over the last couple of weeks and really showing up. He's turned a weakness into, well, I don't know if it's a strength with him playing on the interior, but I'm certainly a lot less worried about it moving forward.
Yeah, he's played so much better. I mean, my goodness. I mean, weeks 1 and 2 and 3, I mean, we were all very critical of him and he was not playing good football. So it's finally good to see that he's forming into a true nose tackle that's able to, make a good positive impact on the game. No doubt about it. But Paul, who is your player that you think showed up and showed out and tried to help this team, get a victory on Monday night?
Yeah, it came down to three for me. I mean, it was a Cardi party. So, shout out to Cardi hitting those 50s like they're nothing.
Yeah.
Unsung hero of the game was definitely Kobe Turner. He played a whale of a game. He just doesn't get enough credit. He's drawing those doubles, opening everything up for the rest of the dogs. And then, but the player I went with the much maligned linebacker crew. I went with Boom. Played a great game. And what I really liked about it was just he was all over the field. The hustle was back. He looked like the Boom of last season. The instinctive pass coverage was there. I mean, I thought he was going to, if he would have caught that second INT, SoFi probably would have exploded, right? But, just the effort was there. And, he and Omar were just everywhere. But I have to give it to 5-6, man. Way to show up, Boom. Way to play. He hasn't quit all season. We knew it was there. And, like I said, there's a lot of positives on this roster. And I'm going to hand it to Boom. He's my player of the game.
Yeah, I mean the speaking of another guy who was not looking good for majority of that early part of the season, and I think him and Omar, that tandem is just working so much better. It's so obvious, and I wish he would have made that second reception. Yeah, SoFi would have blown up. I would have blown up there watching it live. But shout out to him. I mean, he's a big reason why this defense is playing much better football. So that's a great selection for sure. And for me, who's my positive player? I mean, guys, can we hand this dude defensive player of the year right now? Rookie of the year.
It's a wrap.
And I think,
it's
I
a
mean,
wrap.
truthfully though, should he not be in consideration for defensive player of the year overall, rookie or not? I mean, it feels like he's just wrecking games all the time now. I mean, who's getting strip sacks and crucial third down sacks and pressures and tackles? I mean, I know you would argue, hey, come on, TJ Watt and others, but I feel like he's just a human highlight reel at the moment. And in this game, he did it again. The strip sack there to get the ball for us was fantastic after, we had fumbled it, like, the drive right before, after Roseboom intercepted. I mean, that was a crazy 3-drive sequence between both teams there, but clutch. Yes, he had a missed tackle that would have been crucial on the 3rd and 19, where if he would have got him, I mean, that would have been huge. And I know this defense still has tackling issues, no doubt about it. But Jared Verse, if he was not playing all world like he is right now, we wouldn't be winning many games right now. Let's just call it what it is. His influence, his power, his speed that he's starting to develop, his play in tandem with Byron there, with Kobe there, with Roseboom pointing in the background there, and also Braden Fisk. He showed up this game in a big way and kept us alive to be able to hopefully pull a comeback, which I know didn't happen, but he's my positive player of the game. I mean, I'm happy to keep highlighting him every week if he keeps balling out like this on the D-line, rushing the quarterback. So happy that we got all that out of the way, but we lost. So not everything is, the sunshine and rosy flowers. So we got to talk about a player, each of us, who was pretty damn bad. So, Mark, who is your negative player of the game? Who was somebody you were like, holy crap, he didn't show up. He didn't play well. His play cost us a win. Who is that for you?
Well, I'm kind of mad at Jonah Jackson for playing at all because it meant Bo Limmer's not playing. And I know he didn't have a good game and that bad snap. And sometimes, maybe it's not him that we should be criticizing. Maybe it's the coaching staff for making that change. But he didn't play well. And that bad snap was probably the biggest play of the game, really. One of the, probably top 3 biggest plays of the game. Really hurt our chances there. So I'm going to say Jonah Jackson. There may be other players that had an overall worse game, but I'm going to roll with Jonah Jackson.
Yeah, he sucked. I mean, there's just no other way to say it. Snaps was horrible, right? Multiple times, Stafford had to juggle it. There was one on a pass. He's lucky he juggled it and he threw that deep comeback route to the left side of the field. That was one of them. I was like, oh man, that could have been a disaster. And then on the run play, that's where snap was high, he fumbled it. But even then, his blocking was just flat out not good. Never felt like there was no power behind his blocks. Pass block, he looked timid. I mean, he just didn't look ready to go, and he didn't look strong and powerful. And for this to be a free agent signing that was like the number one gold gem this offseason, I mean, it's just been a flat out disaster. So he deserves that, Mark. I mean, that's a hell of a choice there. But Paul, who is your negative player? Who do you think didn't show up or played well and led us to a loss?
Yeah, I'm going to hang it on the coaching squad. The decision to play the entire right side of the O line. So you had a new right tackle, you had a new center, you had a new left guard in this game. You had the luxury of a center that was playing well. And I don't think anybody's really critiquing the decision to play your starters, right? Those are your starters. But did you have to play them all simultaneously in one game? I think was the question. So I know when, just like everybody else, got the update regarding them being activated for practice eligibility. So I think just like everybody else, I thought they were just being activated. And, we'd probably see left guard would be the position that they would. We knew Nopal was going in a tackle. But then to try to change that entire dynamic, it's really rough for any team. But if you're changing 3 out of your 5 starters in one game and then wonder why the offense is out of sync, I just don't. I mean, listen, we're not in the locker room. We don't know what the injury status is for many of the players. And, maybe Bo Limmer got tweaked something or whatever it may have been. But I just think it was an odd decision, particularly at such a pivotal game. If they had the luxury to, they could have started somebody at left guard between Avila and Jackson, whoever was healthier, rode with Limmer, rode with Nopal, and then in the Patriots game, then make your center switch. That probably, to me, you sort of scaffold it based on how everything progresses. And if you have to go one more game, you have the luxury of letting Jonah Jackson get healthy because Limmer is playing so well. So you don't even have to rush him back. You have the luxury between Avila and Jackson to say who's ever healthier, play the left guard spot. So I'm like I said, I think that really just short-circuited the entire offense. They were just out of sync the entire game. And that cost the Rams. And that decision in and of itself, really, honestly, and the play calling down the stretch, the time management down the stretch, I mean, it was just beyond belief. They called a running play with, I think it was like 43 seconds on the clock. Are you kidding me? It was just absurd at some point. And not going for it inside the 10 and that late in the game. I mean, that's just inexcusable. You have to go for it. You have. And there was one play call where they threw it out to Davis Allen the flat and Cooper Kupp's wide open in the middle of the field. I mean, in clutch situations, you have to look for your guys. And D-Rob didn't catch a pass until late into the third quarter? His first pass? Or fourth quarter, right? Was it fourth quarter?
I'm pretty sure, if my memory serves me right. I mean, it might be late third, but it was late in the game for sure.
It was late in the game. The dude was smoking hot, right, for the last 2 games. Red hot. It was just, there were just so many peculiar things. I think Mark hit the nail on the head. There was just something odd about this game from the first snap. And I really think that O-line decision threw off the entire team dynamic, not just from a play standpoint, but I think from a mental standpoint. It really threw off the whole 11 as one dynamic that everybody was trying to buy into. And, that's the first thing that sort of caught me, that if I was a player, I would have been like, eyebrows raised, like, oh, okay, interesting. So, and then you have Cooper Kupp laying it out on the line. You got, Puka battling out there with his knees, probably barking. And then you pull Bo Limmer. I don't understand it. Listen, if Jonah Jackson plays a whale of a game, Avila plays a whale of a game, Nopal plays a whale of a game, Would we be saying the same thing? Yeah, we'd probably be saying the same thing. What was the need to take that risk? You needed that W. You really needed that W. You go against the Patriots. I mean, no game is a gimme, but you do it 1 week at a time. And Mark's right. It was like the Bears game all over again. They gift wrapped it for the opposing team. So I got to hang that one on the coaching staff.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about it. We're like, hey, if Jonah Jackson doesn't play up to Bo Limmer's level, and it was just a complete, we said that, and we're like, hey, we got to have some serious conversations about getting him out of the starting lineup. Well, it was DEFCON 9, right? It went nuclear on Monday night. It was horrible. So I agree with everything. And like I said earlier on our final thoughts, it was coaches. I mean, offensively, I'll put the blame. Defensively, I think they got him ready, but offensively, yeah, no doubt about it. And then who the heck's my negative player of the game? Well, I think everyone kind of has an idea based on everything we said. I mean, Joe Noteboom, guys. He has he has the fifth highest cap hit on our team, right? I think fifth, or he's in the top 5. It's no matter where he is on that pecking order, not good. When he plays good, he gets hurt right away, it feels like. And then if he's not getting hurt, then he's playing really, really bad, and he looks like he doesn't belong on an NFL roster. So not only did we get bad Joe Noteboom, who doesn't look like he's an NFL player, he also got hurt again. Today's news, Sean McVay says, Rob Havenstein is more likely than not going to be ready to play against the Patriots. So, he's probably not going to be ready to rock based on that comment. Joe Noteboom's not practicing because he re-tweaked or re-injured the ankle that put him on IR and held him out of many, many more weeks after he, got designated return to practice. And I get it. He hasn't played. He hasn't practiced seriously in a while. I get all that. But it's always something with Joe Noteboom. And Joe, if you happen to listen to this or any family member or friends, we appreciate everything you did during the Super Bowl season. I mean, look, you stepped in admirably when Whitworth got hurt. You played good football then. In the playoff game against the Bucs, you came in and played good football. And you're a big reason why we won a world championship. I get all that. But now we're many years removed from that. We gave you a big contract, and you haven't lived up to that. His play hasn't lived up to that. And he's been more detrimental than positive or even getting things back to the mean, the average. It's been awful. And then on Monday night, he was awful the whole night, just like Jonah Jackson. No energy and force in the run game. Pass blocking sucked. And the film doesn't lie. I mean, he's just had multiple games to the last 2-3 seasons where he's just looked bad. And they have to figure out a way to get him off this team and get that money off the books and all that. I mean, it's not working out. So he's my negative player of the game. And I mean, in an alternate timeline, we win this game, gentlemen, and we have we're feeling good. But we live in the dark timeline right now. The Dolphins game got us, and what are we 2-13 against them now all time? It's just like the Bears in Chicago. We can't beat them there. We just can't beat the Miami Dolphins for whatever reason. But with that said, time to move on. Time to wash our football brains of that crappy ass loss on prime time. And now we got to talk about Paul's building blocks. Because we know, Paul, you always have a great list every week about what the hell needs to be done to win games. Did we do them from the previous week? And take it away, my friend. What needs to be done for us to get on a win streak again and get into the damn tournament? Take it away.
Yeah, and I think you're spot on. It's about the tournament. I think I speak for every fan. We watch the season. We're really not too concerned about the regular season. We want to get to the dance, right? We want to play that that championship game. We're channeling the Dodger energy, and the Dodger season reflects a lot of what the Rams are going through with the injuries and everything else, and really struggling to find their mojo again. But I mean, the Rams have so many positives on the roster. And just before, as a sort of before we start into the building blocks, the Rams didn't make a move at the trade deadline. So you're sending the message to your team, I like this roster. I like what we have. Obviously, the Rams love to make those street free agent moves. They're not always all in on the trade deadline. They like to make those street free agent moves, and that's still available to them. But I really felt that they should have made a move at the trade deadline. There were definitely some players out there that would have really helped this team. But I think I saw a lot of the posts by Ram Nation, and they're spot on, Ram fam. Like, what is happening at practice that things are so astonishing during the game? Like, you weren't aware this player was not able to hold down that spot? Like, what were they showing you in practice that you are so uber confident? And then when you play them out there in the game, there's such a, I mean, it's not even like in the middle of the game they're starting to struggle. They're starting from the first snap of the game. So I'm with you, Ram Nation. That's the question I don't think anyone can answer because we're not there in the locker room. So that's the first thing. So the non-activity at the trade deadline is something that has to be questioned. So that's primary. So going into the building blocks, we said they have to hit on 4 of these 6 and we'll walk away with a dub. So let's take a look. Already you can see we got 3 X's there. That explains a lot. So the first thing was, it's like a broken record. It really is. It's like a broken record. The power ground game, we said 27 plus carries. We weren't even close to that. We had that one series where Blake was in the game, and after that, it was all done. They could have used Kyron. Honestly, Kyle Long on FanDuel said it before the game. He said, start Kyron Williams. He said Kyron Williams was going to explode in this game against this defense. Everybody else said, even Troy Aikman commented on it during the game when they were moving the ball down the field. I think it was just a missed opportunity. It was there. It really was. And what an easy way to get your O-line back in sync for guys who haven't played since week 1, right? So, I mean, come on. Just let them get lathered up and let them just blow some people off the ball and open up those lanes and play action it all day long. It would have been, honestly, I think it would have been an easy 100 for Kyron. Really would have been. I think the duo easily could have, he and Blake could have easily combined for 150 yards in this game. So big, fat miss on that one. And that's something that they have to establish against the Patriots, right? This game that's coming up. They really have to establish that ground game. It really hurt them in this game against Miami. The load management for Kupp and Puka. Didn't see that at all. D-Rob didn't get the ball till late in the game. Also did not establish the tight ends in the game. I mean, we definitely saw them trying to establish Davis Allen. Oh, Davis Allen. Well, let's go back to that again. Let's think about this. 3 new players in the O-line, and now you've reconfigured your entire tight end scenario. All showing up in the same game. And you wonder why the O-line and everybody else is out of sync. Now, I'm happier probably than anybody that Davis Allen is finally getting the rock, but could you have coordinated it a little better? Maybe that's something also we could have unveiled in the Patriots game. So when you look at the snap scenario, Parkinson is down to 16%. Long is up to 13% mark. So Hunter Long is getting, he's catching up to Parkinson right now. So Parkinson is a non-factor at this point. Davis Allen was getting much of the burning. I mean, listen, Davis Allison is also working himself back into the primetime lineup. So that's another big fat X there, right? Coop looked great, by the way, and so did Puka. And Coop's taking those hits and he's holding onto the ball. He's showing you he's coming to go do some work. So Staff and 9 and Dime, they're back. They're going to start lighting it up soon, hopefully. Use that aggressive 3 outside linebacker set in both nickel and dime. Ram Nation, put Omar and Davis in rotation, and they were back in the rotation. Omar and Boom look good. That is definitely the starting linebacker unit. And one great thing about this scenario, the Rams base unit 3-4 look better than it ever has, right? You have 2 solid inside linebackers. You have Bobby Brown, playing solid ball. You now have a D-line rotation up front. And shout out to Kobe Turner that is just doing work, and no one is talking about him. He is quietly getting it done, playing the run as well as the pass. Shout out to him. He is the unsung hero on that Ram D line, allowing everybody else to get those single matchups. So I'm going to give them a Rams up fist pound because they have found their way on defense. Now they just have to be consistent. They now have a nice nickel set up. They have a dime set up, and they have that base 3-4 that's starting to look good. So the man zone coverages, and just to talk about the secondary, I got to give them a half fist pound. But here's the issue: Kobe, they have a sort of a weird scenario that is sort of developed. So D Will looks great on the outside. We know we got Spoon on the outside. Both look great. However, our boy Kobe has really, really struggled in the slot. And historically, he has struggled in the slot. Now you have an issue. Where do you play Kobe? So, that's something that over the next couple of weeks really have to be explored for fully the secondary to really take advantage of all its talents. The safety play is struggling. Kinchin's really look lost again. And the farther he is away from the line of scrimmage, the more he's going to struggle. He's really struggling with this max zone concept. You see him best when he's able to read the quarterback's eyes. Listen, he came from the U. That's probably what they told him. Read the quarterback's eyes, take the ball, and take it to the house. And that's what he's used to doing. He likes to throw the body around as well, but he just bites hard on every fake. He just lost back there. So they got a couple of issues in the secondary. So I'm going to give them a half a fist pound. But the secondary did a great job locking up Miami's receivers and holding it down. The juicing up of the return game, we saw Jay Witt back on the return team, which is, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know. But at least they tried to juice it up in the return game. And they played the field position game with Evans. And now we got Cardi Party starting. So I'm going to give them a full fist pound. That special teams is no longer a detriment. They are real positive for this squad. And down the stretch, I think they're going to be difference makers all around. And then what really cost us the game. Did they keep Stafford upright? Absolutely not. And when they were most effective, just like we said last week, those half rolls, getting Stafford away from the pressure, letting him look downfield, letting him use his arm strength. He can throw the ball anywhere on the field with accuracy. And where he looked best is when he was throwing the ball like a dagger into the middle of that defense. And that's when they were doing damage. But to let him sit back there and just get beat on by that the atrocious O-line in front of him just didn't make any sense at all. Just did not. But, that's what really cost them the game. It really did. So, as you can see, if they can rectify those three areas that we just talked about, I think this team is a really strong team. The issue is they cannot just play a cohesive game. If the offense has a good game, the defense struggles. If the defense has a good game, the offense struggles. They cannot play complementary football right now. They have to find a way to galvanize themselves as a unit, a three-phase unit, and they will win a ton of ball games. This team can go on a run. They strung together three, they can string together another three. But they have to play a cohesive game. They led in time of possession. They led in total yards and still lost this game. Just like we said in Seattle, right? They came up with turnovers, still lost this game. So they really have to look on the game management scenario, going into the red zone and consistently walking away with 3 points. That is a major, major issue.
Yeah, it's fantastic points. Mark, do you have anything to comment or add to any of that? Because I agree with everything. It's yeah, we got issues, don't we? Mark, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. Wanted to point out that Puka did have that one drop that was a little disappointing. But overall, the receivers did have a good game. But yeah, there's just a lot of little things going wrong. And, they just can't play a clean game. I don't know if they've played a clean game this entire season from start to finish. And this was another one. Even the 49er game, they had to come from behind. The Seahawk game, the first half was dreadful. Just a lot of disappointing games. Virtually every game has some significant areas of concern for us Ram fans, kind of scratching your head. And when we win, we kind of feel like, yeah, we stole one. And then when we lose, we feel like we gave it away.
Another first quarter goose egg. That's there's
Yeah.
your example. Another 0 in the first quarter. They just can't get started.
Yeah. No more genius tag till McVay has multi-game stretches of putting good game plans together in the offensive staff. I just don't want to hear the genius tag on him until we start to see some of that, strung together. I'm serious. Love McVay, but we can't do it anymore. This isn't 2017 anymore. This is 2024. Right? It's a long time ago.
Or just start stealing plays like he said he has in the past. that play the Dolphins ran, that little cool reverse. That why can't we throw a couple of those out there with Tutu Atwell or something? Just no creativity.
He just doesn't know how to formulate a diverse run game. It's the same crap. But anywho, we got to wipe our brains of it. We talked Ram Nation. That was our therapy session together with you. And man, oh man, I'm ready to just get some damn wins going and feel a little bit better on my weekends, right, gentlemen? But we got to highlight real quick before we get to the keys to victory. I mean, the Patriots have some pretty dang good players, in my opinion, and this team is dangerous. This team can string together some wow plays at any time if you're not too careful, and I think that's something we got to watch out for. But I think in general, we got to watch out for some of these players, and I think it starts with their quarterback, Drake May. Look at it. Is he in the most ideal situation? Absolutely not. Right? Everyone said for him coming out of college with a lot of question marks about footwork, throwing, pretty much everything in the quarterback's checklist there was question marks about, other than maybe his raw physical ability. He went to, the worst spot possible where, not a lot of offensive talent other than the running backs and maybe the O-line in the run game. But overall, it was like, who's going to develop him and yada, 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 yada. But there's no doubt about it that he's playing some pretty solid, winnable football. Is it perfect? No. But for the circumstance that he's in, he'll make a big throw when it's needed. He'll scramble and run around, and he's pretty dang fast and athletic. So he can kill you running the ball himself on a scramble drill. And that's something we don't defend very well at all. So Drake May, definitely a big reason why his big plays when they're needed. He's one of their best players at the moment, in my opinion. And I think, gentlemen, someone else we got to highlight, no doubt about it, is Christian Gonzalez here, the lockdown corner, number 0 from Oregon. And this is his second year, I believe, if my memory serves me correctly. And he's been freaking fantastic. To give you an example, last game, they said, all right, Christian, you're just going to follow around the Bears' best receiver, DJ Moore, who is a Pro Bowl level receiver. There's no doubt about it. DJ is one of the fastest, most explosive, offensive players in the league. And he locked his ass down. Now you can argue, the Bears offense sucks, la, 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 the route suck and all that. But at a certain point, you got to beat the man in front of you. And DJ Moore cannot beat Christian Gonzalez, mirroring him the entire game, shadowing him, doing the old 2020 Jalen Ramsey, who's like, give me the best guy, I got him. And he's that type of corner. So I expect him to be matched up with Puka Nacua majority of this game, and they'll probably, formulate a plan to double cup. They'll do the old Patriot way, right? Well, they'll man on the best corner or man on the second best, and they'll double the other. He's a fantastic player. I mean, he's all pro worthy based on how he's played this season, in my opinion. And somebody else who Paul smartly and correctly brought up earlier, it's Keon White, the do-it-all outside linebacker, D tackle. You'll see him lined up everywhere in this 3-4 scheme that the Patriots like to run. And he has, what was the stats, Paul, on it? You said it earlier, and I was like, holy crap.
Yeah, he has, let me just pull it up again for you. So right now, by my count, he's got 5 sacks, 24 solo tackles, 2 forced fumbles. You better account for him.
Oh, yeah.
Even in that scheme, you better account for him. And Gerard Mayo, the way he played linebacker, the way he liked to get accurate. So they're gonna set this guy loose with one goal: get to number 9.
Yeah, so he's a troublesome player that could screw games over. And based on how our O line looked this past week, I mean, this is a complete mismatch if they continue to not bring their A game, and we'll be in serious trouble against again a defense that's coached well, that has good players. And again, these are the three best we all agreed on, but they got plenty more on that defensive group that could really make our day awful again on offense. But those are their best players in our eyes, the three best. And gentlemen, I mean, after talking about that, we got to start talking about keys to victory. But I think before then, let's review some things here about the Rams and Patriots. So right now, shout out to Mark, formulating all this. The Rams are coming off the 23-15 loss to the Dolphins. Patriots beat the Bears 19-3, a very similar fashion where they just absolutely obliterated the Bears, who again have good players. Maybe their O-line isn't good, but ours ain't playing well right now either. And former player Gerard Mayo is leading the way. So any gamblers out there, Rams are 4-5, Patriots are 3-7, but the line right now is Rams minus 4.5. But I see a lot of people, Vegas people, I see analysts saying, watch out, Patriots could definitely beat this team. And some betting people are putting a lot of money on the Patriots to get the upset. And I don't blame them based, on how we freaking played on Monday night. But like we talked about, Patriots 3-7 opened up with that 16-10 shocker win over the Bengals, and the Bengals have had defensive struggles the whole season. They lost 6 straight, right? They were going with Jacoby Brissett for a while, and he wasn't really giving them a spark. Then they beat the Jets, lost the Titans, and then they beat the Bears pretty convincingly since Drake May's been in. And hey, they've scored 20+ points 3 times. Seems like our offense can't do that unless it's, a once in a blue moon sighting. So they're definitely playing much better than they were earlier in the year. And we spoke about their best players earlier, but the Patriots offensive leaders starts with Drake May, 954 yards, 7 touchdowns, 5 picks. Nothing to say, oh my gosh, about. But again, we talked about a situation. It's not the greatest. Jacoby Brissett has way less touchdowns, of course, interception when his time. Rushing, Ramondre Stevenson, a fantastic running back. They paid a lot of money to, and he can do damage against us if we're not careful. And then their leading guys, Hunter Henry, the tight end, 428, 1 touchdown. Demario Douglas, the other receiver, 356 and 1 touchdown. So again, I know we can look at these things offensively and say, oh, they're not good. This, and that, and that. But they can get you if you let them. Drake May scrambling, running. I mean, I'm very worried about his running. And then obviously, if we have a blunder in pass coverage like we seem to do every game where someone's wide open for a mega chunk, I mean, we will definitely be in trouble. But here are some stats. Patriots offense, their passing's not good. A lot of that had to do with Jacoby. Their last rushing yards per game, 22nd. Definitely, I think they've been much better since Drake May's been there with his threat of, running around and all that. They've allowed 32 sacks. Nothing fantastic. Third down percentage, bottom tier of the league, 26. Our Rams offense now, if you look at it, passing yards per game, 6, but throwing the ball too much hasn't worked out for us. 94 yards rushing per game. We're in the bottom tier. Unacceptable with an all-pro running back and Blake Corum, your backfield. We talked about that earlier. Allowed 21 sacks. Not ideal. Patriots defense, 220 yards given up per game. Not the greatest, but they seem like they're able to bend and not break most times. 128 rushing yards per game, 19th, but they played much, much better since. And then 25 sacks they've gotten so far. Not bad. Obviously, 9 of them coming against the Bears this last week with their crappy O-line. And then our defense, 220 passing yards per game given up. We're in the bottom tierish. Not the best. Obviously, the Arizona game really screwed everything up with that stat. 128 rushing yards per game, 19th. Not the greatest, but much, much better since the bye. 24 sacks, but we do lead the league in pressures, which is fantastic. And our third down percentage, which is getting much, much better as games are going on. We're middle of the pack, and I think that'll continue to climb as this unit gets more cohesive. So all that, gentlemen, to say, how the hell are we going to win this game and not get upset? Right? What do we need to do for this season to not go into the darker timeline where we start losing games and then the playoff picture, getting into that tournament is pretty much done? I'm worried about this game, and I'll share my thoughts afterwards. But Man, oh man, Mark, what are your keys to victory for this Rams team to get a damn W out there in the New England area? Because, oh man, we need it badly.
Well, I think it really comes down to two things, and they're no brainers really. Number one, our offensive line has to play better, protect Matthew Stafford better, better run blocking. I don't know what our offensive line is going to look like, so that's the other thing. And I think I think our defense is really starting to feel it, and they may be licking their chops at this Patriots offense. I don't mean to underestimate them, but this is a defense that an offense that the Rams defense can really bring it to and get a couple sacks, pressure Drake May into a couple of bad throws. And I'm looking for our defense to have a really big game, and we might need them to have a big game, and just start to finish, shut down this Patriots offense, and maybe grab a couple turnovers, give our offense a short field, get an early lead, and it just steamrolls from there. And that's what we have to hope McVay is listening to you guys, though. And if the offensive line is playing well, they're playing well in the run game, and we go to the run and we use Kyron Williams and we pummel this Patriots defense, especially in the red zone, and put the ball in the end zone. No more. Settling for these field goals is what's really backing us into a corner and costing us wins.
Yeah, it's this game. I'm worried, but Paul, what are your keys to victory for the Rams to get a W in New England on Sunday?
I mean, I think it's simple. I think it's the same game plan that should have showed up for Miami, tell you honestly. They have to run the ball. They have to throw the ball to Kyron as well. I mean, Kyron on the backfield looked great. He looked absolutely great. That's what they've been waiting for all season. So they have to really use Kyron. They really have to use Blake. They really have to control the tempo. One thing about the running game, which is going to be really useful for the Rams, is that the ability to control momentum when they get the momentum. And what's really been costing them is that these mistakes on offense gives the momentum right back to the other team. And they're not able to close out. They had a chance right after that boom interception. They could have gone down the field, put it in the end zone. And honestly, you would have seen Miami start to press a little bit. But they're always the team that's pressing because they have the 0 in the first quarter. They're always playing from behind. And then it just starts to build. Like Mark says, it's like steamrolls, but in the other direction. Right? So they really have to be able to seize the momentum early, put this game on Drake May. If he's going to beat you, then so be it. You have the horses. Let them play to your strength. Go after it. Play well on first and second down. Get them into third and long, and then let the dogs loose. Have to generate turnovers. The secondary is just too comfortable letting receivers catch the ball and tackle. The whole idea of playing off ball is that, give them that curl the first time. Give them that curl the second time. The third time, you got to jump that route and take it to the house. That's the whole idea. You're getting the hits on the quarterback. The secondary has to generate turnovers. They have to generate fumbles. They have to tackle. They have to strip the ball. They have the horses to do this. Get it back to your offense, and the offense has to capitalize. They have to win the turnover battle. They have to play a clean game on offense, a nice, efficient game on offense. Third down is going to be the key on both sides of the equation. On offense, they have to be close to 50%. On defense, they got to hold the opposition to about under 30%.
Yeah, that all makes sense to me. And my keys of victory, we'll start with the offense. I mean, if they can't pass protect, I mean, we are so screwed. We are so screwed. This front seven is so much better than what we saw from the Miami Dolphins on Monday night. It's silly. Like, we will be in serious trouble. So if this pass protection unit cannot give Stafford time to throw the ball when we do decide to throw it, which we know McVay, he loves to pass. So there are going to be a lot of them. Let's just accept that now. We're going to be in so much damn trouble. So it's going to be up to this O-line, whether it's a limb or goes back in, which is my preference, whether Jonah's out there, We know Avila is going to continue to be out there. He's not getting yanked. He didn't have a great game, but he wasn't awful, so he's going to be out there. Likely it's going to be, hopefully, Rob Abenstein, we're wishing, but based on McVay's comments, probably not. But whoever's going to be at right tackle, whether it be Noteboom or whoever, McClendon, whoever, I mean, they have to be ready to go and just please play some decent average football and give Stafford some time. So that's going to be the main key. Can this O-line control the line of scrimmage and not get their asses kicked? I mean, if they don't, this will be another loss, no doubt about it, no matter how good the defense plays. Let's just be honest. But defensively, it's got to be containing Drake May. His scrambling ability is underrated. The film that I've seen on him, I mean, this dude has got some wheels on him. And we do not guard athletic quarterbacks well at all. I mean, Tua, is he an athletic guy? Sure. But is he some speedster? I mean, there was multiple times in this game where it's like, should have had him. That's a rollout. Oh, 3rd and 19. He completed it. Oh, that should have been a sack. Oh, he finds Jalen Waddle wide open on the sideline because we didn't get to him when we should have. And Drake May will definitely take off and screw us with his scrambling ability, whether it be rushing or just keeping the play alive. So it's going to be up to this front seven, whether they be blitz, whether it's the regular 4-man rush, to be able to get to Drake May and at least contain him. Do not let this man get free and run around in any capacity. And I think if they do that, we should be able to win the game, or the defense should set this team up to be able to win the game. And of course, the standard stuff. Don't give up explosives. Stop the run game. Those are givens every week. But for this game with this specific team we're playing, they have to contain Drake May from running around, rushing, or scrambling to throw afterwards. If not, we'll be in trouble for sure. But man, oh man, everybody. It's just I'm worried about this game.
You're such a warrior.
I'm worried about this game. It's just the teams. We just haven't done enough for me to feel good, right?
Yeah.
We just haven't done enough for me to feel good consistently. And can we win? Of course. If we get it together, of course we should beat the crap out of them. But an of course statement, it doesn't happen very often, it seems like lately. But regardless of all that, I know we're a little early in the week and we do have our early score predictions, but we got to lay it to you guys, Rams Nation, and see how we're going to feel about this game. So, Mark, your early score prediction. What do you think is going to be? Who wins? Who loses? I mean, give it to us, dude. What do you think?
Man, I have never felt more confident in a score prediction than the one I'm about to give you. I think this Rams team has just had it with the poor play on offense and not putting quarterbacks on their back as much as they should on defense, taking advantage of the turnovers that they're creating. And I think it all comes together this week. I'm the eternal optimist in the group. I get it. But I think this is the way, and I get it. You have this feeling of going into New England, Foxborough, big long road trip. It's troublesome. I get it, but I think the Rams put it together and win 27-13. Cakewalk. And if there's any Patriots fans that want to comment on this come Monday morning, well, I'll be an easy target, I guess.
Hey, man, I appreciate the optimism, and it's needed in times like this. And I do hope that's the score. I hope on the Rams football gods, if they exist, please just get us a win out there in the greater New England area. But Paul, what is your early score prediction? Do you think the Rams win? Do you think they lose? What is that final score and this early prediction you got for us? What do you think?
So I got to challenge Mark as the Rams up eternal optimist. So I think I'm the eternal optimist of the group. I also had the Rams winning, scoring 27, but I got them 27-14, Mark. So I think great minds think alike. So I think it's going to come down to these two things. McVay has said it more than once: execution and identity. But also he has to understand he's the head coach. He establishes execution and identity. Establish the identity and the execution from the beginning of the game. Do like you did against that Arizona game. Everybody remembers, called 7 straight run plays. take it at them, hit the B gap, hit the C gap, hit the A gap, hammer them, and let the game just come to you, and let Stafford just shred them to pieces. Right? Let your defense do what it does best. Let them get after it. Give them a lead and let them play. Let them pin their ears back and let them play going forward. I think it's going to be 27-14. But listen, any given Sunday, and I said that, if they show up sleepwalking and they fall behind again, things can unravel very quickly. They're going on the road. It's a very different dynamic. So as bad as everything was, what makes it worse, they did it at SoFi. That's the issue. So now you're going on the road. It's a big, big difference. Protect your squad, run the ball early, let them get into a rhythm. And, when you get in the red zone, hey, if you have to go for it on fourth down, go for it. Establish your identity. If you want to be a playoff team, think like a playoff team. Call plays like a playoff team. High football IQ, play to win, be aggressive. I'm saying 27-14.
For the record, I had it 27-14 at first, but then I realized I had Michael Hoyt blocking an extra point, and that's how I got to the 27-14.
He was so close.
Yeah.
He was so
Yeah, gentlemen, I have to see it to believe it. That is my thought process with Rams football and how just poor it has been, and a defense that we're going to be playing that is so much better than the Miami Dolphins. I am incredibly worried about this game. And all these predictions I go off gut. I did predict the Rams to lose to the Dolphins last week, and I thought it would be in a shootout fashion, not in this defensive battle. But in this game, gentlemen, Rams lose 13-17. I have to see McVay and this offensive staff have a good game plan and attack the weaknesses that are there that the film shows and also the stats. Well, we joked about earlier in this episode how it seems like no one pays attention to the stats, right? We went through it last week where the Dolphins were a team that gave up the run. Did they really run the ball? Hell no, they didn't. It was pass against a top 10 unit. And in this game, we have to be able to run the ball on them, because if we have to get into pass mode situation only, we're going to let those rushers come get us, led by Keon White. They have a fantastic secondary that locked up all the Bears players, and in other games, they've done good jobs too defending the pass. I mean, if we go into Matthew Stafford save us mode, we are in so much damn trouble. And until I see McVay break that mold, be more diverse with his play calling, be more diverse with his formations, be more diverse in the run game, give Kyron more carries despite a fumble or not, which bothers me, but give it to him. Give Blake Corum more opportunities. I think we're in trouble. And until I see that, I can't pick them to win the game until I start seeing better game plans. So I'm going 13-17, another defensive hold your breath game, but I don't think the Rams offense does enough to pull it off with all their red zone woes, their drive woes. Everything on offense is just such a damn mess right now. And, if I had to guess right now, they're probably going to start Jonah Jackson again. If they don't have the guts to put Limmer in, then I think, losing is even more likely. Let's just be real about it. But I hope I'm wrong. I hope your scores are way more correct than mine ever will be. But I got to be real with you, Rams Nation. I don't feel good about it against the team's defense that we're facing, who is better than Miami's. And with all our problems, I just don't know if we do it on Sunday morning here in LA, Sunday afternoon for the rest of you on the East Coast. So, right? Yeah. I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, we have to go back and look at it. Go ahead.
One quick comment. One of the Ram Nation had sent in a comment about Kyron Williams and the explosive runs, etc. So I think one thing that's interesting about the duo concept that sometimes people forget is that, and Ian, you can speak to this, right? You played a little RB, right? Is that why running backs like the duo setup? Because you key off the linebacker. It really allows the running back to use their vision at that second level. But one of the key concepts of duo that's built into the system is take the 4. The idea is if they give you 4, take the 4, do the math. 4 times 3 is 12, move the chains. So people have to understand that that's built into that concept too. And as you establish that, you're trusting the running back to use their vision that no matter what that linebacker, that read linebacker, whatever it is, no matter what they do, you're going to trust the O-line to hold their blocks, and that linebacker is always going to be wrong. And like we said last time, it's like Novocaine, give it time. But you cannot give up on the run. That just totally defeats the whole philosophy of the duo blocking scheme. So I think that's really where one of the primary issues. And thank you, Ram Nation, for the comment. Keep throwing us the comments. We love to respond to them, and keep subscribing, by the way. Great content coming your way. But I think that's something to keep in mind, is that consistency and that commitment to the ground game is going to lead to big runs for Kyron and for Blake. And also out of the backfield, it opens things up for them to catch the ball out of the backfield. And remember, when the Rams were on their streak, who was scoring all the touchdowns? Aaron Kyron in the red zone. Now that they've hit this sort of dry spell, who's not getting the ball in the red zone? There you go. I think it's pretty black and white at this point. If you want to open things up in the red zone, get back to grinding it out and give it to the guy who knows how to cash it in for 6. Go ahead, Mark. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just going to say that we need to go back and look at our predictions. I think we're pretty even. I think we've all had our share of somewhat correct picks, but I may go back and tally that up and see how we're doing. That's all I was going to say.
Yeah, and real quick, just it came to my memory right now. I mean, the last time the Rams beat a New England team out in Foxborough, it was the 2001 team. So we don't have a good history. I mean, we don't play the AFC East a bunch, but we don't win out there when we go out there. Another stat against an AFC East team that's not good. So, it took the greatest show on turf to be able to pull one out, and hopefully we see at least half that on Sunday afternoon. But man, oh man, Rams Nation, I hope we win for my sake, for your sake, for our sake, so we can feel good about this team going into the holiday time, and hopefully the tournament's still an option. But with that Monday night loss, before any of that spurred onto our football brains, heart, and souls, we got some bad news that happened right before the game. The great John Robinson passed away before the game. Former USC coach who won multiple Rose Bowls, has a national championship under his belt, and then obviously his time as the Rams head coach. And RIP to him. And I know, Paul, you had some great things to say. So please take it away, dude.
Yeah, so I mean, all Ram Nation knows about my commitment to the run game, and I think I can safely say John Robinson is the reason I love the run game. I remember being a kid and turning on the TV and just happened to turn on the USC game and seeing student body right just unfold in front of you, right, with those USC tailbacks, and you just fell in love with the run game. And then I remember when I found out he was coming to the Rams, I said, this is like a dream come true. And then Eric Dickerson, and it just all came together. So Ram Nation, I can tell you my love of the run game is thanks to John Robinson. So we have a nice slide we put together. Who else to first comment on how great John Robinson was, or still is to this day, other than Eric Dickerson, right? Eric Dickerson flourished under John Robinson's tutelage. My first NFL coach, John Robinson, he had enough faith in this rookie running back from Sealy that he built an entire offense around him. I will forever be grateful for him jump-starting my career. John was a great coach and will be clearly missed. And when they asked Ronnie Lott, who played under John Robinson at USC, he said the greatest. 2 words. That's how he described John Robinson. In homage to John Robinson, we're just going to close with a brief summary of his biography. So John Robinson was born in Chicago, Illinois on July 25th, 1935. He moved to Provo, Utah at the age of 6, and then to Daly City, California at the age of 9, where he attended a local Catholic school. The name of that school was Our Lady of Perpetual Help. Ram Nation, The name of my Catholic school out here in Queens, New York, Our Lady of Perpetual Help. Shout out to OLPH. So he became best friends with future Hall of Famer John Madden. He graduated in 1950 and then attended Junipero Serra High School, and he graduated from there in 1954. He attended the University of Oregon, where he played tight end on their 1958 Rose Bowl team. He returned to his alma mater, and he started his coaching career there as an assistant. He then had the opportunity to go to USC and serve under Sean McVay's granddad, the great John McVay. He was the offensive coordinator and one of the key organizers of Student Body Right, the famed tailback-oriented running attack for USC. During that 3-year stretch, the Trojans went 31-3-2, winning 3 Pac-8 conference titles, 3 Rose Bowls, and a pair of national championships. He then had a brief stint with his buddy John Madden again with the Oakland Raiders before getting a shot to coach his beloved USC. In 1976, when John McVay left, he became the head coach from 1976 to 1982. He led the Trojans to 3 conference titles and 5 bowl games. He won the Rose Bowl in 76, 78, and 79, finishing 2 in the AP poll all 3 years. He also earned a Coaches Poll National Championship in 1978. Following the 1982 season, he stepped down as a head coach with a record of 67, 14, and 2 over 7 seasons. Under his tenure, USC produced 24 All-American first-teamers, 22 NFL first-rounders, 2 Heisman Trophy winners in Charles White and Marcus Allen. He was then given the coaching job with the Los Angeles Rams. George Frontiere called him the perfect fit. He was hired to replace Ray Malavasi, and he led the Rams to 2 NFC championship games, facing the 85 Bears and that team from the Bay in 89, who both teams went on to win the Super Bowl. Unfortunately, during his tenure, he wasn't really given a quarterback, so he survived with his power running attack, his signature running game, in which Eric Dickerson flourished. During his tenure, in just over 4 seasons with the Rams, Dickerson ran for over 7,200 yards and led the league in rushing 3 times, with his 1984 total of 2,105 yards still the record to this day. Robinson still had the league's rushing leader in Charles White and Greg Bell when Dickerson left and went to Indy. They continued that running back tradition under John Robinson with back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons in 88 and 89. In my opinion, if Tommy Lasorda was a football coach, he would have been John Robinson. I learned to love the running game because of John Robinson. That famous 47 gap to daylight, the famous play that Eric Dickerson and John Robinson made famous for the Rams, was a thing of beauty. The one thing that stood out for me when I was a kid, to watch him coach the Rams and watch him coach USC, he had this characteristic. No matter who it was, any injured player on his team, he took off the headset or whatever it was, the hat, and he walked out. Not just for the star players, but for every player that was down on the field. And that always stood out for me as a kid watching him coach, and to this day. So for you, Ram Nation, you have your favorites. John Robinson will always be my favorite Ram coach and my favorite football coach of all time. And I know in heaven, he has Jackie Robinson playing running back for him somewhere. He's arguing with Tommy Lasorda as they're choosing sides, that I want him on my football team as Tommy Lasorda is trying to get him on the baseball diamond. So Ram Nation, one thing to never forget, the last player to go over 1,000 yards for John Robinson was Greg Bell, and he wore number 42. Say what you will, but I think I'm going to close on that note. Rest in peace, coach. Run that 47 gap to daylight.
RIP, coach. Rams legend, LA legend, USC legend. I mean, let's finish out strong and in this Memorial season now that it'll be for the Rams, I hope we make the tournament and make him proud.
Well said, Paul. Good job.